Welcome. In this video, I'm going to give a brief overview of two Vertica open source projects, the Vertica Grafana data source plugin and the Vertica Prometheus exporter. Both of these projects allow users to visualize Vertica metrics in Grafana, but in slightly different ways. There'll be a demonstration of each project on its own, and then one using them together. So let's get started. First off, the Grafana data source plugin. This plugin can be installed, updated directly from the Grafana user interface. It allows Grafana users to write ad hoc SQL query statements against a Vertica database and visualize the metrics results in Grafana dashboard panels. Which metrics are queried, how they're visualized is defined by the Grafana user. Here's the plugin's key components. Plugins installed into the Grafana server, a data source with database connectivity and parameters as defined, and then used in dashboard panels to visualize the Vertica metrics. Now let's move on to the Prometheus exporter. Prometheus exporter has a more complex installation and configuration, but also has more knobs to tune it for efficient connectivity and performance. It allows metrics to be predefined in one or more collector files on a backend for collection from Vertica. It serves as a Prometheus target, passing the metrics then when requested. The metrics can be visualized in Prometheus or any app that supports Prometheus as a data source, such as Grafana. Which metrics are collected, how they're labeled, whether they're cached or not is completely defined by a backend admin. So let's take a look at the exporter's key components. The Prometheus exporter connects to Vertica and collects metrics based on user-defined collector files. Prometheus uses the exporter as a target to collect metrics from it. The Prometheus data can in turn be visualized in Grafana using the Grafana Prometheus plugin. So let's do a demo. First off, I'm just going to show this is the Prometheus plugin that allows us in Grafana to use Prometheus as a data source. And this is the Vertica data source plugin. I've already installed both. The other prerequisite is that we set up data sources. I have a Vertica data source, which I've set as the default. This Vertica data source just has my database connection information, plus connection parameters such as load balancing, backup server node, etc. The Prometheus one just points to the Prometheus server. So the Prometheus exporter is one layer away from Grafana in this case. So let's open a new dashboard and a new panel. You can see because I set the Vertica data source to be the default, it defaulted to that and it provided us with a default query, and that query was visualized in the graph above. Two key features to note in the Grafana plugin. One of them in the raw SQL editor, there is a type ahead and it's for keywords. As we're typing, anywhere where a keyword should fall, it will provide standard SQL suggestions of keywords. The other feature to note is Query Builder, and the Query Builder is basically a complement to that where all the keywords have been filled in and you pick the parameters that you want. So you pick a schema, table, the columns, your where clause filtering, group by, etc. We have a performance dashboard that we've published on the Grafana site. This is an example of what someone might construct to monitor performance on their Vertica database. And you can see it monitors CPU usage, memory usage, I/O network, and it also down here has the last error messages and the last SQL statements executed. So now let's move on to the Prometheus exporter demo. First off, I'll just show you quickly in Prometheus. If I do a status, it shows my Vertica exporter target. It's up. If I click on it, it shows me metrics that are available, and these are in Prometheus format. This is what actually gets read from Prometheus, stored in its time series database, and also passed to Grafana if you're using Grafana as the final endpoint. And then also in Prometheus, it could graph or table the information. And here, because the queries are predefined, we just start typing Vertica and all of the predefined metrics are available. And pick one, run execute, and I get a graph. So this is basically it for the Prometheus piece. Now if we go back to Grafana and we do a new dashboard, new panel, and we pick Prometheus for the data source. Notice the raw SQL editor and the query builder are gone. That's because there's no ad hoc querying through Prometheus. It's all predefined. So here instead, we go to the select metric list. Same as in Prometheus, we start typing Vertica and we get a list of all the available metrics. So I can pick that, run a query, and I can visualize that metric. We've also, similar to the plugin performance dashboard, we've created a performance dashboard using the Prometheus exporter and Prometheus. As you can see, it looks pretty similar. The one difference is at the bottom, there's no last error messages, no last SQL statements. That's because Prometheus is time series based and doesn't support text data type. So that's one limitation to the Prometheus exporter, and it's due to Prometheus itself. You can't display or visualize text data from Vertica in the Grafana panels. So far, we've seen Grafana users do ad hoc queries defined in the Grafana front end, and we've seen Grafana users use predefined queries originating from the exporter backend. Pretty significant difference for an end user perspective. So what if your needs require a blend of these predefined queries and ad hoc queries? Let's take a look at an example where both the plugin and exporter may help tell a more complete story in a Grafana dashboard. So I have this dashboard and I'm monitoring my Vertica database. And it shows me the node count and it shows me the node up status. And visually it's turned red because I set a threshold telling me if any nodes go down, turn this red and show me how many nodes are up. While this is good information, I don't know which node is down. I don't know what time it went down. So I don't have a lot of detail about it. If I have the Vertica plugin, I can add a new panel. In the panel, I can change to table type, and I can change the query to select star from nodes and execute it. And in a matter of seconds, I can find that it's node 3 that's down. And if I scroll over here, I can see that it went down on March 15th. So I'm able to complement the predefined queries of the Vertica exporter with the ad hoc queries of the Vertica Grafana data source plugin. So which tool is right for you? It may depend on your use case. Some of the considerations are tech stack complexity, whether you want caching of your results for a more efficient connectivity to the database, query types, front-end ad hoc versus back-end predefined, and whether you need to support text data types or not. So we have these two metrics-related open source projects that help customers visualize Vertica metrics in a unified environment like Grafana. Each project has its strengths, limitations, and degree of complexity, which may be a consideration for customer needs and their use cases. Because Grafana is a unified environment, both tools could potentially be used together to help build a more complete story as shown in the hybrid demo. Additional information on both of these projects can be found in their respective repos on the Vertica GitHub page. Thank you.